Morning, student, and the today's class is vertical stresses and the details of the vertical stresses, lateral stresses, and the factors depending on uh, what are the different factors that the lateral stresses depends upon, and different factors, and the relationship between lateral stresses and vertical stresses. That is a stress field. So different and the factors that is affecting the stress field. And, we will discuss, but in the last class we have discussed different types of stresses. We discussed the weight stresses are there, inherent stresses are there, residual stresses are there, and induced stresses are there. And just we will have a little brief of regarding these stresses. The today's our class is the weight stresses. What are the different weight stresses? How the weight stresses are affecting the the strata, and what are the different weight stresses? What are the different factors which are affecting the weight stresses? That is the vertical stresses and the lateral horizontal stresses. The inherent stresses are the geological disturbances, geological stresses. Those are nothing but folding, faulting, jointing, unconformities, and the fracture of the strata, which is already inherent in the strata, and by the seismic activity, these geological disturbances, these geological structures are formed, and the earth is subjected to and many seismic activity, many seismic energy, and becomes very much prone. If the mining is, if we want to do the mining in the stress-prone area, in the geological disturbed area, then it becomes very much difficult for advancement of the mining there. We cannot do the mining in that area. So the inherent stresses, the geological disturbances, the geological structures, due to all these geological structures and the geological disturbance, where the mining is impossible, where the mining is not at all possible. We discussed in the later class. In a similar manner, the residual stresses are there when the shock loads, when the impact loads are given to the strata is subjected to the serious stresses. Some kind of stresses retained in the strata, retained in the rock in the form of stress energy, in the form of strain energy. Suppose whenever the additional energy subjected to the strata exceeds the strain energy, the rock gets failed, and uh, the rock outburst may occur. So definitely the strata, when it is subjected to the shock load, when it is subjected to uh, impact load, maybe by the mining activity, maybe by the other civil construction activity. So the strata is subjected to the different stresses. So and the stresses which are retained, which are hidden in the rock, in the strata, in the form of strain energy, is called residual stresses. So when outside stresses exceed these stresses, automatically the outburst occurs, automatically the rock fails down. And the induced stresses are there. The induced stresses, we induce the stresses in the strata. Suppose the mining activity is there. In the mining activity, open cast mining is there, and long-wall and UC underground mining is there, where mining activity is going on there, drilling, blasting, load and transportation, different phases of mining are there. When the drilling and blasting, so while drilling, a lot of strata is disturbed, maybe in the open cast mining or maybe in this one underground mining. So when all the drill holes are charged with explosive and the blasting is done, so lot of impact stresses are given to the surrounding strata. that surrounding strata is very much disturbed. And these are called the induced stresses. And with the run of long-wall machinery, with the run of mechanized long-wall machinery, maybe the shear, which is the cutting loader, which cuts the loader, maybe the capacity of 320 HP to 70 HP to 1100 HP. The capacity of the shearer varies from 70 HP, 320 HP, 550 HP, 1100 HP. These are the different capacities of the shearer which are used in longwall mining. And when the shearer cuts the coal in the longwall phase, a lot of vibration, a lot of vibration is created, a lot of the strata is subjected to the shock loads. And due to these shock loads, many stresses are created, many stresses are formed, and the strata is subjected. And these are called the induced stresses due to the blasting, due to the cutting operation by the longwall, cutting operation by the shearer. The many stresses are which are induced in the mine are called the induced stresses. So these are the different stresses in the last class we discussed. So out of all the stresses, and in this class now we discuss the vertical stresses. The vertical stresses actually here the two types of the stresses are there. By virtue of the strata itself, it creates some stresses in the strata. The strata, suppose by existence of the strata, by virtue of the position of the strata itself created some kind of stresses, and those stresses are nothing but the vertical stresses and the lateral stresses. And the vertical stresses is nothing but whenever any block is there, this is a block, any block is there, the force is acting. So the block is having certain weight. Maybe suppose uh, 1 ton of a rock block is considered, is taken. So 1 ton of a rock block, then due to the weight is acting downwards. Actually, the earth is having specific gravity. The specific gravity may be 9.8 meters per second square. It is acting. So the weight stresses. The weight is nothing but mass into acceleration due to gravity. Mass is the load. Mass is the load, and g is the acceleration due to gravity. This is the weight stresses. This is which is equal to mg. Mg is acting downwards. The vertical stresses, by virtue of its position, by virtue of its weight, the weight is acting vertically downwards. So the weight is nothing but mass into acceleration. So actually the force is acting downwards. So the formula of the force is F equal to m into a, where m is the mass of the body, a is the acceleration of the body. And coming to the weight force. The weight force is nothing but mass into acceleration due to gravity, that is m into g, where g is the acceleration due to gravity that earth is having. Now you take any point of earth, automatically you take any point of object where the acceleration due to gravity is acting upon it. That is almost equivalent to 9.8 meters per second. It is there. The mass into 9.8 meters per second is almost acting upon a block of rock or block of an object which is on the surface of the earth. You take any object, so the weight is acting vertically downwards. So this is one kind of the stresses. So finally, how we can define the vertical stresses? The vertical stresses is actually the force per unit area. For the vertical stress is equal to force per unit area. The force is nothing but, and this one, the force is mass into acceleration due to, that is g, and unit area, that is a area, and which becomes mass into acceleration due to gravity, and length into a length. And suppose by coming with this one, the mass is equal to the kgs, and g is equal to meters per second square, and length into meter into the meter. So meter is cancelled. Finally, it becomes the unit of vertical stresses becomes by meter into second. The vertical stresses, it is the ratio. It is the ratio of the force and the unit area. It is the ratio of the force acting upon a block of rock. The force which is acting on a block of rock. This is the force. And per unit area means the area of the specimen, that which is a two-dimensional one. So length into length, A is equal to length into length is called area of the cross section. Area of the cross section of the block of the rock, that is unit area, what we call a unit area. So the vertical forces, the vertical stresses is nothing but this is the force per unit area. The force, this is the force and this is the area. The force is mass into acceleration. Here, the instead of acceleration, we consider the acceleration due to gravity because the strata is inbuilt of the earth. Automatically, the acceleration due to gravity is acting upon it. So the force is taken as the mass into g. The force is taken as the mass into g, where A is the area of the cross section. The mass into acceleration due to gravity, and here the area is length into length. Finally, when you want to define the unit of the vertical stresses, that the cases are taken for the mass, whereas g is meters per second square, n by second square, L into L, meter into L. So 1 meter is cancelled. Finally, the unit for the vertical stresses is kg per meter into second or kg per meter second. How can we define this one like this? The vertical stresses is defined like this, kg per meter second. It is there. And coming to so a number of factors in this number of factors are there, all the factors which influence the vertical stresses. And the second thing is lateral stresses. And the lateral stresses by virtue of the water, by virtue of the composition layers of the rock itself, some stresses are given to the mineral bed. So actually the block of rock is nothing but we consider a block of a mineral bed, that is mineral. So we consider. So number of factors are there. All the factors which influence the lateral stresses. So let's define what are the lateral stresses, and after that let us define what are the different factors which influence the lateral stresses. It is there. And after that we will define the stress field and the factors which are influencing the stress field. We will define and later onwards. Before that, lateral stresses. The lateral stresses, which are the forces acting horizontally upon a block of a rock. The force horizontally, and this is the vertical force. This is the vertical forces, vertical stresses. Lateral stresses is nothing but the force. The force is acting horizontally upon a block of a rock is called lateral stresses. Other forces. So the forces which are acting horizontally. By acting horizontally, so lateral stresses are developed. Lateral stresses are formed. Lateral stresses are developed. Yes. So, but when you see the horizontal lateral stresses, the lateral stresses are two types. Lithostatic lateral stresses and hydrostatic lateral stresses. Suppose the mineral bed is there. The coal is the mineral bed here. When the coal, let us consider the coal block. The coal block is the mineral bed. So the mineral bed is surrounded by many stones. Paracar sandstones are there, granite sandstones are, many stones are there. the coal block which is surrounded by much strata. Baraka sandstone is there, the other sandstones are there, granites are there, dolomite stones are there. The strata consists of number of rock stones are there. So the coal bed is surrounded by many things. Coal or mineral bed. So rock specimen, our rock specimen is maybe the coal mineral bed, maybe the uh, uh, rock, maybe the coal bed, maybe the mineral bed. So let us consider the block of a rock. Right. Suppose the mineral bed is surrounded by number of strata. The strata consist different types of rock, igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks, the metamorphic rocks. So many types of igneous rocks are there, many types of sedimentary rocks are there, many types of metamorphic. All the rocks, by virtue of this thing, suppose by virtue of suppose the mineral bed consists also the number of rocks, number of layers, number of strata layers. So all the strata layers, by virtue of the strata layers, the mineral bed is subjected due to the strata layers. So by the existence of the strata, suppose strata is there. The strata consists of the number of mineral layers. For the existence of the strata layers, uh, due to the acting upon by the gravity, what we can call it is subjected to different stresses by virtue of the acceleration due to gravity, by virtue of the existence of the different layers of the strata and the mineral composition, and many things will occur. Many things occur. Those the stresses which are developed by the existence of the different layers of the strata, by existence of the different minerals of the rock, by existence of the different igneous rocks, by existence of the different sedimentary rock, by existence of the metamorphic rock. So the mineral block is subjected to the many stresses, and the stresses which are called lateral lithostatic stresses. But here the two types of stresses are that, and one is lateral lithostatic stresses, and the second is lateral hydrostatic stresses. So these are the two stresses which are which what we call are lateral stresses. And the second one is hydrostatic stresses. And the hydrostatic stresses means by which suppose the mineral bed is compounded by, the mineral bed is surrounded by water bearing strata. So the strata is having lot of water. So then it is called water bearing strata. So by existence of the water has hydraulic energy. So the mineral bed, the rock block is subjected to much hydraulic energy. The rock block subjected to hydrostatic pressure, and certain stresses are developed. So by the existence of the water, by the existence of the water bearing strata, the block of rock is subjected to many stresses. So so by the composition of the water in the strata, so hydrostatic energy is created. The hydro energy, hydro energy which creates hydrostatic stresses in the strata, and the hydrostatic stresses are developed in the strata. So by virtue of the water, by existence of water, lateral hydrostatic stresses are developed. So, and how which will affect in what fashion, in what pattern, in what style these lateral stresses are affecting the rock of a block, and these are the different things are there. Anyway, and different factors are there, and lateral stresses, these are also different number of factors are there. All the factors, number of factors which influence lateral lithostatic stresses, lateral hydrostatic stresses. There are now we are given there are 6 types of factors which are there, which influence That means which influence the lateral stresses. One by one we will discuss. First one is the rigidity of the rock, the toughness of the rock. Suppose the rock may be having certain strength. We are here when you talk about the strength of a rock, the compressive strength is there, the tensile strength is there, shear strength is there. Suppose when the force is applied to a rock of a block by the compression, so, rigidity of rocks. The rigidity of a rock is nothing but the toughness of rock, the strength of a rock. The strength of a rock, different types of strengths are there. Compressive strength is there, tensile strength is there, shear strength is there. Suppose when the rock specimen is subject to the compressive strength is, so when the compression is made in opposite direction, the rock specimen fails at a particular strength. So it is called the compressive strength. And the tensile strength, when the different strength which is applied to rock specimen, pulling away rock specimen at a particular strength, the rock specimen is built on. It is called this one tensile strength. When the diagonal, when the forces are acting upon a block of a rock, the failure occurs diagonally. Then at a particular strength, it is called the shear strength. So different types of strengths are there. When strength is very much more, the compressive strength is very much more, the tensile strength is very much more, and the shear strength is very much more. Then rigidity of the rock automatically is very much high. So at a higher strength, it can withstand, it can bear the higher load, it can bear the load, the number more tons of height. So a lot of strength is there. And so when rigidity of rocks is very much more, then strength is automatically is more, and the toughness of the rock is also very much more. And then it can bear the more loads, even though a lot of loads which are coming upon the rock specimen. So it can bear up to it can bear larger weights. It can bear larger loads also. So here the rigidity is also expressed. Uh, Here we have got three types of rigidities are there. Modulus of elasticity, Young's modulus is there, and bulk modulus is there, modulus of rigidity is there. So the stress strain, uh, uh, actually the stress is directly proportional to the strain, as per the Hooke's law. When the metal, maybe the rock, which is subject to the stress or the force, when the stress is proportional to the strain, so stated by the Hooke's law. So when the force is acting upon a block of rock, all the different types of stresses are developed, and different types of strains are developed. Actually, the stress we can define the stress is the force per a unit area. The stress is in the force per unit area. Where the strain is, there are two types of strains are there. A longitudinal strain is there and a volumetric strain is there. The change in length by original length is called the longitudinal strain, and the volumetric strain, the change in volume and by the actual original volume, it is called the longitudinal strain. And so different types of stresses are developed, different types of strains are developed. So we will say one Young's modulus is there, bulk modulus is there, and modulus of rigidity is there. It almost all there. But when you talk about the modulus of elasticity, which is a Young's modulus, where it is the ratio of and stress and strain, a longitudinal stress by longitudinal strain. The Young's modulus is nothing but it is the ratio of a longitudinal stress developed by longitudinal strain. Young's modulus. So this is the stress. So this is Young's modulus. Young's modulus D is equal to the stress by the stress by the strain. The stress is nothing but the force per unit area, and this one, and the strain, the change in length by original length. So finally, equation becomes like this: the A into L by dl. It becomes like this. So suppose, and the ratio, how it becomes the area of the cross section may be L square. So F into L by L square into dl. So it becomes FL by L by dl. So the strain, this is the Young's modulus, this is the modulus of LSAG. So it is the ratio of a longitudinal stress to the longitudinal strain. Longitudinal stress is nothing but force by area, and the strain, the change in the length, change in length, dl is a change in length by the original length. So the equation becomes a F by L by dl. Finally, FL by L square dl. So F by L dl is the final equation for the Young's modulus. When the rock specimen, when the metal specimen, which is having more Young's modulus, which is having more modulus of velocity, then it is having what we can say, it is having lot of strength. How we can say it is having lot of strength, that is there. This is called the modulus. In the similar fashion, bulk modulus is there. Bulk modulus, it is a ratio of bulk stress by volumetric strain. The bulk modulus is defined like this. That is bulk stress by volumetric strain. Volumetric strain. Bulk modulus is nothing but F by A, this one, dV by V. So the force by area, bulk stress is nothing but the force by area divided by the change in volume by original volume. Finally, it becomes F by A into V by dV. So F equal to L into L. It becomes L into L into dV. So this L they get cancelled. Finally, it becomes FL by dV is the bulk modulus. So the bulk modulus is the ratio between the bulk stress by the volumetric stress. The bulk stress, the total stress where the rock specimen is subjected, is called the bulk stress. Now volumetric strain. So when the force is applied, so many changes are developed. Many changes are developed in all the directions, in the volume, in the length, breadth, and width, L into breadth into H. In the three directions, many changes are occurred. So when you see total, the volume is changed. So the change in the volume dV by actual volume. So it is the ratio between the stress and the volumetric strain. The stress is nothing force by area, and the volumetric strain is change in the volume by the original volume. So the equation becomes like this. This is the bulk modulus. But how we can define the bulk modulus like this. This is there. And finally, the modulus of rigidity, which is shear stress by shear strain. And this is almost equal to slightly it varies from modulus of. This is what modulus of rigidity. Modulus of rigidity is there. Shear stress by shear strain. Shear stress is F by A. This one dl by L. F by A into L by PL. Suppose the shear stress, the last specimen, and the force is applied, and the opposite forces are applied to that specimen. The failure occurs diagonally, and this point is called where the failure occurs, and the point is called the shear stress, and the stress developed at the particular point is called the shear stress, and there is a shear strain also there. So it is the ratio between the shear stress and the shear strain. Shear stress is the stress which is developed where the failure occurs diagonally when the forces are when the opposite forces are acted upon a rock of block. So that is the stress which is developed at a particular point is called shear stress. This is called, and the shear strength, the change in length by the original length is called the shear strength. So while applying, and the shear strength is definitely different from the tensile strength, different from compression strength. So definitely a slight variation, difference may be there. Slightly it differs, and difference is there. So shear strength is different from the compressive strength. So, and this one, the modulus of LSA finally it becomes it is the ratio of the shear strength by shear stress by shear strength. So the stress is which is developed at a particular strength where the failure occurs diagonally. That is called shear stress. While applying the shear strength where the shear stress are developed and the rock specimen subjected to many changes in the length. All the lengths are changed. Change in change in length by original length gives you the shear strain. Change in length by original length is which gives you the shear strength. So finally, the modulus of rigidity gives you the formula, which is the ratio between the shear strain, shear stress, and shear strain. The modulus of rigidity. Finally, F by A divided by dr by L, and finally it becomes FL by ADL. FL by ADL. So that is the modulus of rigidity. By these three modulus of Young's modulus, bulk modulus, modulus of rigidity, and particular rock specimen, where many strengths are defined. Maybe having higher strength, maybe having higher compressive strength, maybe having higher uh, bulk modulus, maybe having a higher tensile strength, maybe having higher shear strength. By all this, by all three modulus of rigidity, modulus of elasticity, modulus of bulk modulus, by having more modulus of elasticity are very much more than the strength, the different strength of the rock is very much more. That is, so the rigidity of the rock is very much more when the strength is more, and this is more. When modulus of Young's modulus, when bulk modulus and modulus of rigidity is more, then the strength is more. When the strength is more and rigidity of rock is also more. When rigidity of rock is more, then the more lateral stresses are created. More lateral stresses are developed. That is there. And the constraint. The second factor is the constraint. So this one, what we call these lateral stresses, which are influenced by many constraints. Are many, maybe the constraints may be the impurities, maybe the deformation, maybe the existence of the water, and many other things are there. All these things which affect this one, the lateral stresses, all the things which are affect the lateral stresses. And these are called the constraints. The third one is Poisson's ratio. And the lateral stress also depends upon the Poisson's ratio. The Poisson's ratio, it is the ratio between longitudinal strain by lateral strain. And this is the ratio between longitudinal strain by lateral strain. So the strain is nothing but the change in length by original length is called the strain. So the longitudinal strain is the lateral strain. The rock specimen is having the one side is having more length, other side is having less length. The longer length is called the length, whereas lesser length is called width or the breadth. So when the change occurs in the longer length, then the change in the length by the original length gives you longitudinal strain. So when you take the width, when you take the breadth, then the change in the length by original length gives you the lateral strain. So it is a ratio of long longer strain by lateral strain. So when the Poisson's ratio is more, then the uh, the rigidity, uh, what we can say, the change in length by original length. When changes are more changes are means more effect is more. Then when this is more, and the rigidity automatically is less. The toughness of the this rock specimen is less. Why can't? Because when this which indicates when more changes are developed, when more changes are developed in the longitudinal direction or in the lateral direction, so that gives you when concentration is more, then the toughness, the strength of the rock is less. We can conclude like this in this fashion. So this is about the Poisson's ratio. And next, the superimposition of the rock and the hydrostatic energy. So the strata consists number of layers. There is a number of layers of it. All the layers, all the layers, all the layers are formed, and all the layers are formed by different types of rocks are there. Different structure of rocks are there. Maybe igneous rocks are there, sediment rocks are there, and metamorphic rocks are there. So in the igneous rock, and high strength is there when compared to the sediment strength. Igneous rock, granite, dolerite, and dolomite. These are the igneous rocks, and the sedimentary rocks are the breccia, sandstone, limestone. These are the sedimentary rocks. When the strengths are compared, the igneous rocks are having more compressive strength than the sedimentary rocks. It is there. So superposition, where the strata consists with a number of igneous rocks, and then the strength of the strength of the rock is very much more. So superimposition is, and it is that means number of layers the rays rock system consists the number of layers of the strengthy rocks, number of layers of the strengthy rocks. Then automatically the toughness, the rigidity, and the strength of rock expression definitely will be more than is more. Hydrostatic the factor, hydrostatic energy. By which of the when the presence of water is there, definitely which weakens the bonds of the general bonding of the different grains in the mineral. So the mineral consists different grains. The grains are uh, are uh, bounded. The grains are binded by different cementing materials. But when the water, due to the presence of water, the water which weakens the general bonding between different grains, automatically the strength of the rock, which is very much weakened. The strength of a rock is weakened. That is there. So when suppose when the presence of igneous rock which increase the strength of rock, the presence of the water which weakens the grain structure of a rock, then the strength of the rock automatically is lessened. The strength of rock automatically is reduced. That is it. So this reduce the hydrostatic energy, the hydrostatic pressure, lessens the toughness, reduce the toughness of the or the strength of a rock. That is it. Finally, the folding, geological structures or geological disturbances, the folding, the faulting. Due to the seismic activity, the strata is subjected to seismic activity, and the strata gets disrupted and gets dislocated, and one part of the strata goes upward, the other part of the strata goes downwards. So this is called the dislocation of the strata by the seismic activity, by the seismic energy is called the faulting. So where the earth crust, where the strata is subjected to seismic activity, seismic energy, then the strata is prone for many years, not prone for ever. It is prone for ever. Whenever you want to do the mining in the faulty area, in faulty zone, then many accidents will occur because the strata is very much weak. So there, the supportings cannot create the protection. The supporting cannot create the protected zone there where the faulting. So it is a geological disturbance where it is dangerous in the mining. Wherever a fault is, the mining comes across with that faulty zone, then the mining is stopped. And after the after and by leaving the faulty zone, and the mining will be started. Mining is started and starting uh, excavation that is there. So the fault is very dangerous. In similar fashion, the faulting also geological disturbances where the compressive forces act, acted upon a block of rock, acted upon a strata, and the strata gets compressed in the form of folds. So already maybe the seismic activity, maybe other compressive forces, so which acted upon a rock of a block, so that gets compressed and different folds are formed. And this zone is also very much prone very much prone for the roof fall, very much prone for destabilization. And it is a what we can say the folding zone where the folds are more there, and which is very much weak, very weak, and the zone is and the zone is weak where the mining is not at all possible. So the folding and falling is a major geological disturbances for the mining, where the mining is impossible, where the mining is uh, even if you do the mining, then and we should be and these things must be taken very much cared about, taken care of. Otherwise, the many actions will occur where the zone is prone for the folding and falling. That is it. Fix that. Rock structures are there. Rock structures, the igneous structures, and the sedimentary structures, and the metamorphic structures. When the suppose in the lava, all the rock material are in the form of lava. The molten lava is all the material that having temperature of 6,000 to 10,000 degrees centigrade. The metal, the minerals and the metals and rocks are in the form of liquid. When the lava comes out, when the volcano erupts, and the lava becomes magma, and the lava gets consolidated, and the minerals are and the rocks are found. And those set of rocks are called igneous rocks. And those igneous rocks are having a lot of strength, very much good strength. The sedimentary rocks are there. With the action of the agent, with the action of wind, with the action of river, with the action of ice, with the action of the animals. And many changes are occurred. So while transporting the rocks, the igneous rock in the water, so the shape is changed. The composition of the mineral is changed, and the formation of the mineral bed is changed. And that type of rocks are which are called sedimentary rocks, and which is having less strength. The sandstone is there, Baraka sandstone is all subjected to different this thing, different activities. Then so the weak bonds are created, and the strength is very less. And the igneous rocks and sandstones, which are further subjected to the pressure and temperature, a metamorphic rock. Suppose marble is there, so it's a metamorphic rock. A slate is there, schist is there, gneiss is there, metamorphic rocks. So subjected to the temperature and pressure, further changes the igneous and sediment rock and metamorphic rocks are there. So the metal slate is having less in the mica. The mica is a metamorphic rock, and different layers of layers are there. Schist is there, slate is there. So it is having very much less strength. So the compared to igneous rock is having a lot of strength than these two sedimentary and other rocks. And the sedimentary rock is more having more strength than the metamorphic rock. So metamorphic rocks are having less strength when compared to all these things. So these are the different factors which influence the later stresses and verticals. And the last one is the stress weight. So this is the ratio of the lateral stress by the vertical stress. Here the two stresses are there. when the vertical forces, when the weight is acting upon it, so the vertical stresses are created. So the vertical stress. And the lateral stressor, by virtue of the water, by virtue of the this is by virtue of the run, the lateral stresses are created. So the stress field is nothing but it is the ratio between the lateral stresses and the vertical stresses. It varies from 0 to 1. So by observing the stress field, the stress field, we can estimate the strength of a rock, and different other factors are that which are where the stress field depends. The depth, when the depth is more and the stress field is very much more, because lateral stresses are very much more and the vertical stresses are maybe also more in there. So when the depth is more, the stress field varies, and the strata concentration and the strata concentration, what we call by composition of the strata, by compactness of the strata concentration is there. The strata concentration is there. Lateral stress and the vertical stresses just varies. It also varies, and that is also there. And shape of the opening and size of the opening and different openings of the mining, and it also affect the stress field. The excavation and the blasting. The excavation we made by the shearer in the longwall mining. The blasting we do in the this one in the longwall area. Maybe in the conventional, maybe the blasting gallery, and the stresses are here. There also we analyze the stress field. So one more thing is that the relation between the lateral stress and the vertical stress also gives you the stress field. So these are all the different factors which influence the stress field. As for the stress field, we can analyze the strength of the rock. So these are the different factors we discuss here. The vertical stresses, lateral stresses, and the factors which influence the stress field. It is there. Thank you.